So we're tracking a fundamental shift across the global economy right now. And to give you an overview, we're looking at the top developments in the transition of AI from a basic digital assistant to an autonomous worker.
Right, and in some cases, an actual manager. We have a massive stack of intelligence for this deep dive. We're pulling live engineering data from BMW's factory floor, leaked structural memos from Meta, financial reporting on mass tech layoffs, and the open source code of X's recommendation engine.
Yeah, plus the new Fujitsu Global Employment Report and some breaking news on the Trump administration's AI policies. Our mission today is to cut through the noise and give you the facts on how this is rewiring corporate hierarchies, information flow, and national security.
Because the clear narrative connecting all these sources is agency. We're evaluating machines and models, making independent decisions, and, well, executing complex workflows without human intervention.
So let's unpack this by starting with physical AI.
Hmm.
Rank-wise, the deployment of humanoid robots in heavy manufacturing is arguably the most visceral shift. Figure AI just finished an 11-month deployment of their Figure O2 robot at the BMW Spartanburg plant.
And we need to look at the specific metrics there, because this was not a venture capital lab demo.
Yeah.
Over those 11 months, Figure O2 logged 1,250 hours of active runtime. It loaded 90,000 parts,
Right.
which directly contributed to 30,000 BMW X3 vehicles,
Yeah.
and it walked about 200 miles on the factory floor.
And the task itself, sheet metal loading, it requires a 5 millimeter tolerance.
Yeah.
And the robot has to do it in 2 seconds.
That's right. In a live automotive plant, the concrete floor is vibrating, the lighting shifts, the machine requires advanced vision algorithms just to plant its feet and adjust its micro movements in real time.
But I want to highlight the post-mortem data because Figure O2 is retiring. They're moving to Figure O3. The top hardware failure point was the robot's forearm.
Yeah, the forearm is a massive engineering bottleneck. You need 3 degrees of freedom for basic human dexterity, but you're dealing with extreme heat from the motors. In Figure O2, they had a physical distribution board and dynamic cabling running down to the wrist.
And dynamic cabling just fatigues and snaps after a million bends.
Correct. So for Figure O3, they completely engineered that out. No dynamic cabling, no distribution board in the arm. The wrist motor controller now communicates directly with the torso. It's a much more resilient design.
Which brings us to the 24-hour autonomous warehouse test they just live streamed with the Figure O3 models. The internet nicknamed them Bob, Frank, and Gary.
Right.
They sorted 30,000 packages using the Helix O2 neural network at 3 seconds per package. And the most critical data point here, 0 human teleoperation.
That distinction is vital for industry impact. The Helix O2 system runs entirely on autonomous vision-based reasoning. If a robot drops a package, it steps off the line, initiates a reset, and another robot autonomously fills the gap.
But then you have Ayanna Howard, a roboticist at Ohio State. She called these humanoids science projects that aren't ready for commercial deployment.
I mean,
Wait, if Figure AI is already taking the forearm failure data from BMW and engineering it out of Figure O3, isn't calling it a science project a bit too dismissive of the iteration speed?
well, from an industrial engineering standpoint, her critique is grounded in the math of reliability. A 99% success rate sounds great, but at 1,000 packages an hour, a 1% failure rate means 10 drops an hour.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, and that requires human intervention, which destroys the economic margin. So until the intervention rate is functionally 0 for extended periods, academics will classify it as experimental.
Okay, that makes sense for physical robotics because hardware is bound by physics, but software scales infinitely. Which leads to our next major development, the digital restructuring of white-collar work.
And the momentum here is aggressive. Looking at the May 2026 financial reports, tech giants are making severe cuts explicitly to fund AI infrastructure. Meta cut 8,000 jobs, which is 10% of their staff.
Intuit slashed 3,000 jobs, so 17%.
Yeah. And the broader industry tracker shows over 140 tech firms cutting 111,000 positions this year alone.
Right, and Meta is projecting to spend $145 billion on AI infrastructure in 2026, but they aren't just cutting. They're shifting 7,000 employees into new units, like applied AI engineering and the Agent Transformation Accelerator.
This aligns perfectly with the global employment report from Fujitsu. They detail the transition from traditional functional structures, the rigid corporate ladder, to what they call work chart organizations.
Where humans and AI collaborate dynamically around a specific workflow.
Yes, institutions like BNY Mellon and MUFG have officially designated these AI agents as digital workers or AI employees, in their HR systems with assigned performance metrics for accuracy and speed.
And this is causing a drastic flattening of management. Looking at the leaked meta memo from VT Maher Saba, they are targeting a 50-to-1 ratio of individual contributors to managers. The memo literally calls middle management the world's worst bottleneck.
By removing that layer, they are forcing distributed decision-making. Employees use AI agents for data analysis and are expected to make the final call themselves.
But wait, if you have 50 direct reports, you're not managing them. You're just a conductor leading an orchestra.
That's a fair assessment.
So if middle management is replaced by AI to save costs, who mentors the junior employees? Are people just expected to manage AI on day one?
That is the core friction point right now. A manager with 50 reports has zero bandwidth for mentorship. The expectation is radical self-reliance, and it's causing internal revolt. Over 1,000 Meta employees petitioned against the new algorithmic performance monitoring tools.
Right.
Because when you remove the human manager, you replace them with a software dashboard tracking keystrokes and output.
So to understand how these algorithms actually evaluate output and govern workflows, we need to look at the underlying models. The third major development is the open sourcing of X's core recommendation algorithm for the For You feed.
This is a masterclass in how AI arbitrates human attention. The industry shift here is moving away from manual feature engineering, where humans hard-code rules, to an end-to-end Grok-based transformer model.
And recommenders drive 70 to 80% of engagement on platforms like YouTube and Netflix.
Correct. The transformer architecture inherently maps complex data relationships without explicit human rules. It learns the psychology of retention autonomously.
We have two deep analyses on this. The Twitter's marketing report looked at the model's composite signal. Bookmarks are weighted highest with a 2.5x multiplier, retweets are 2.0x, and standard likes are just 1.0x.
Which reflects user intent.
Yeah.
A bookmark is a high-friction action indicating long-term value, whereas a like is low friction.
Yeah, they noted a viral signature ratio, 10 bookmarks to 1 retweet to 5 likes. But looking at the PayNews open source analysis, there's a highly significant detail. A reply plus author response is weighted 75 times higher than a standard like.
That is a massive multiplier.
But if the Grok model weights a back-and-forth conversation 75 times higher, isn't the AI just inherently optimizing for controversy and arguments rather than quality information?
From an algorithmic standpoint, the model doesn't understand controversy. It only understands dwell time.
Right.
If a user stops to read a provocative thread, types a response, and refreshes the app to see the counter-reply, that generates massive attention. Controversy is just mathematically efficient for retention.
PayNews also found that placing external links directly in a post heavily reduces visibility, obviously to keep users on the platform.
Yeah, and this directly impacts creator economics. X Premium requires 500 followers and 5 million impressions from other premium users over 3 months. The model dictates visibility, which dictates revenue.
Which brings us to the fourth major development. These LLM models are so powerful, driving algorithms, corporate bots, physical robots, that the U.S. government is intervening. The Trump administration is drafting an executive order for the voluntary screening of covered frontier models prior to public launch.
Factually speaking, the debate centers on the review window. Industry wants 14 days. National security proposals are pushing for 90 days.
The core concern here is cybersecurity, specifically the fear that advanced AI could automate hacking and zero-day vulnerability discovery. The unreleased Anthropic Mythos model is explicitly cited in our sources as a catalyst for this.
And to handle the evaluation, the U.S. government is expanding the U.S. tech force to boost federal IT capabilities.
But since this framework is voluntary, isn't it essentially just a gentleman's agreement? Won't bad actors or overseas competitors just bypass the 90-day waiting period and release their models anyway?
Internationally, yes, it doesn't stop a rogue state. But domestically, a voluntary framework carries immense economic weight.
Oh, because of contracts.
Right. If OpenAI, Google, or Anthropic want lucrative defense contracts, or if they want protection from massive liability lawsuits following a cyber attack, they will comply with the screening. Establishes a baseline of safety norms for the top-tier developers.
Okay, so looking at all this, from robots at BMW to flat corporate structures to government oversight of frontier models, we need to synthesize what this means for you, the listener, and your place in the economy.
Returning to the Fujitsu report provides the best global perspective. Regions are adapting differently. The U.S. is relying on rapid market mobility and capital reallocation. Japan is focusing on internal company reassignment. The EU is prioritizing public trust and regulation, while China is using state coordination.
But for the individual, passive job security is gone. You have to become what Fujitsu calls continuously upgrading talent.
You need the agent boss mindset. Your value is no longer in executing routine tasks, it's in orchestrating and managing the AI tools that execute those tasks.
Right, you are the conductor now.
Which leaves us with a critical structural question. As organizations flatten and AI takes over both routine labor and middle management analytics, will human-to-human collaboration soon become a rare, premium luxury skill or simply a relic of the past?
It's something you definitely have to mull over. As you adapt to managing these systems, understanding that dynamic is going to be crucial. Global Tech Daily is an AI-powered synthesis.